Hey everyone, welcome back to Bryan's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. I hope everyone's doing well. Today, before we get started, I just wanted to make a few announcements. For those that don't want to listen, you can just skip ahead. But I've been toying with the idea of starting a Patreon account, but I just would rather keep all my content free to everybody, and I'm sure that most people already have bunches of Patreon subscriptions, so I'm just trying to keep that open to everybody, but I could use your help with any type of support. And I wanted to say that anyone that does send support, I will keep you updated on if there's any donations made by me to other groups to search and rescue. I'll also add you to my Christmas card list. If you are interested in getting a Christmas card and you do make a donation, just make sure that I have your address. That would be great. If you're interested, please stick around to the end. I'm going to be sharing some other backpacking tips. Also, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I want to start out each new video with some kind of information, maybe a unique fact that you might not be aware of. Today's fact is the largest national park in the United States is Eliza National Park in the state of Alaska. It is 13.2 million acres in size. It is just absolutely awe-inspiring. I, of course, have never been there. I've never been to Alaska. However, if any of you have ever been there, please let me know your experiences. It looks absolutely breathtaking. Now on to today's case. Today's case takes us to another national park that has a record. It is Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It holds the record for usually attracting the most tourists every year. It is located in the state of Tennessee. Last year, it drew over 11 million visitors, and it gets its name from basically the early morning fog that tends to settle over the mountains, also some low-lying clouds that appear that the mountains are smoky in nature. Today's case takes us all the way back to October 8th of 1976. I'm sure many of you are aware of this case. We're going to be talking about the very bizarre and unsolved disappearance of Trenny Gibson. Trenny was a high school student. She was attending Bear Den High School in Knoxville, Tennessee, where she was a sophomore. She was very into the outdoors, studying plant life, animal life. She was very interested in agriculture, and she had planned to go to college and study landscape engineering. Friday, October 8th, 1976, Teresa Trenny Gibson, she went by Trenny, was with 40 of her classmates. They took a field trip to Klingsman's Dome in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. One of the first things I noticed about this case was on this field trip, they only had one teacher chaperone and one bus driver. And during this trip, the bus driver sat in the bus in the parking lot. Now I'm going to have maps of the various areas where they were. These are some various pictures of the park. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is roughly 522,000 acres. Now, they had been given instructions that they weren't to take any paths other than the marked trails. The trails in and around where they are hiking were very well marked. They were hiking roughly the 2 miles between Andrews Bald from Klingsman's Dome and then back on the Forney Ridge Trail. Like I said, I'm going to have some pictures and various maps up. This is the parking lot where apparently the bus driver had been sitting the entire time while the students were out exploring the park. They had been specifically told not to hike any further than Andrews Bald, and they were to be back at the bus by roughly 3:30 p.m. The students began to break off into various groups. Trenny paired up with one of her friends, a man by the name of Robert Simpson, and they hiked up to Andrews Bald, where apparently they were having a good time. They sat down, they ate their lunch. Then apparently Trenny had told Robert that she wanted to start back to the bus. However, Robert said that he wanted to stay at that area for a little while longer. Now, these are some pictures of Andrews Bald, the path that leads up to it, just to give you some sense of the area. Here is another picture of the main trail coming into Andrews Bald. According to later statements given by Robert, Trenny was walking away at a pretty good clip along the Forney Creek Trail. She looked like she had caught up with many of the other groups of students that were also on their way back to the bus. However, later statements given by some of these students said that she quickly passed them by and was hiking on her own. The distance between Andrews Bald and where the bus was parked was roughly 1.8 miles and should have taken around 45 minutes to hike back. The students said that they eventually saw Trenny farther down the trail. It looked like she had gotten down to look at something, possibly some vegetation, other things like that. All the other students made it back to the bus at 3:30 p.m. as planned, right at Klingman's Dome. However, one of the students said to Robert had he seen Trenny because no one had seen her since they last saw her on the trail, and he was the last one that was actually hiking with her. Robert reported that he had hiked to her to Andrews Bald. However, Trenny had left early to return to the bus. When questioned why he didn't walk back with her, he said that he wanted to stay in that area because he was tracking what he thought was a black bear. This seems a little bit odd to me, but I'll let you all make your own decisions after I give you some more of the facts here. Apparently, according to the students, nobody had gone back down the Forney Creek Trail with Robert, so nobody could actually corroborate this story. Search and rescue efforts got started immediately. They had some information. They knew the general area. They brought in dogs, helicopters, ground teams. The dogs actually did pick up a scent, and they led down to a local road, which led the search and rescue and the authorities to believe that she possibly may have been taken or have gotten into a vehicle on her own accord. They just didn't know. They didn't believe that foul play was involved at that particular point, but when they went back to the area where the students had said that they had seen her getting off trail, it didn't make any sense because that area was just filled with shrubs and dense thicket, trees. There was really nowhere to go. The student Robert that she had been with earlier in the day was originally a suspect, not necessarily because he was the last one that had hiked up to Andrews Bald with her, but because apparently Trenny had always carried this very thick Stanley comb. It was a comb that she never left her house without it. It was a comb especially for people with very long hair. According to her friends and family, she was just never without this comb. Now, after she had gone missing, they actually found that very comb on the dashboard of Mr. Simpson's vehicle. Of course, the authorities questioned him about this. He couldn't really give a story that made sense. He said that Trenny had given him this comb to use for his own personal use, but no one really bought that because that comb was like her thing. She just never left home without it, and it didn't make sense that she would just arbitrarily give it to this fellow student. After the initial search failed to turn up any more clues, they started doing more investigating. They found that Trenny had a sapphire pendant and a sapphire ring that she had gotten for Christmas and won as a birthday gift. Now, she was always wearing these. These two items were found in the possession of one of her fellow students. They didn't really know each other. They were in the same sophomore class, but they weren't friends or anything. Now, when they questioned this girl about these items, she couldn't give any explanation. Very suspicious in my opinion. So now we have 3 different items that Trenny apparently loved and cherished that she had before she disappeared, and now they're found with other students. That same student, Robert Simpson, the one that the comb was found in his car, at some point he went by the Gibson household and was making very off-the-wall comments like, oh, she must have run away with some hitchhiker, things that really didn't make much sense. At this point, the FBI was involved in the investigation because it was a national park. They have jurisdiction over it. Special Agent Harold Swanson of the FBI worked closely with the National Park Service investigating various leads, but unfortunately, there was a lot of false leads, or they just didn't have enough physical evidence. As time went on, more theories came about. One of the more popular ones was that Trenny, when she went missing, was either taken or went to Klingman's Dome observation tower. They said that that area wasn't actually searched during the original investigation, so it's possible that she was either held there or stayed there on her own and then went to where the dogs had tracked the scent to the road, and that's where she was picked up or taken by a vehicle. The idea that she left on her own accord was very unsubstantiated. I mean, her purse, her bank book, everything, her clothing, all the things that were dear to her were left untouched at her home. She had over $1,000 in her bank account, which was untouched. So I don't really believe that that's a plausible theory. I mean, I guess it's possible. In my opinion, this is a very, very strange set of circumstances, especially when they started doing the investigation and finding these various things. The comb, the pendant, the ring that ultimately were found in other classmates' possession. How did they come to have those things? Why couldn't they give a rational explanation? To me, it just seems like something happened on that trip where some of the other students may have been involved. The story that the last guy, Robert Simpson, that had hiked up with her, his story about wanting to go off and track a bear, it just seems very odd to me. I also think that in this particular case, the school made several mistakes by not bringing more chaperones. They only had 2 adults with almost 50 students. I do know that Trenny's family eventually filed suit against the school board. I'm not really sure of the outcome of that particular case, but I do know that in 1977, search efforts were again renewed in the park with originally 25 volunteers, but it got up to over 50 at one point. They still couldn't find any evidence. Between all the authorities and the people that were working on the ground, the search and rescue teams, they came to the conclusion that over the 2 years and the various search efforts, that they did not believe that Trenny Gibson was in the park anymore. They believed that she most likely was taken out of the park the day that she disappeared. Their story now was that they did believe that foul play was probably a factor in this. In the beginning, like I said, they didn't believe foul play was. However, after enough time and more investigation, they believed that other people were involved. Various suspects in the beginning were named, such as Robert. However, no one was ever charged. There have been no arrest in this particular case. This is still an ongoing investigation. Trenny has still never been found. Unfortunately, her younger sister passed away at a relatively young age, as did her younger brother. The family has just had a lot of hardships, and I really pray that they do get some answers as to what happened to Trenny. This has been over 45 years now, and they still have no answers. I would definitely like to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on this case. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of it. Let me know what you think. If you've researched this yourself, I'll have my links in the description as always. I want to dedicate this video to Trenny Gibson, her family and friends, and just hoping and praying that you will find those answers one day. I also wanted to mention that Mr. Gibson was just so thankful and so appreciative to the FBI and other authorities. He even wrote a letter to the media showing his gratitude, and I just thought that was really nice. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for all your support, your comments. I'd love to hear from you. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end. So I know I often will mispronounce the names of people, places, and things. I am really trying to work on that. I got a new app called Babbel. Hopefully that'll help some, but I really appreciate all your feedback and constructive feedback and comments letting me know. I know in my last video I said that we were going to be discussing bear canisters and bear safety as far as food storage on trail, but I really wanted to talk about today is fanny packs. I'm going to get into the bear storage stuff next time, but I believe a fanny pack is a wonderful piece of gear. They come in all different shapes and sizes with different belt attachments. I personally love ThruPack. It's a company here in Virginia. They make custom fanny packs. You can actually build your own. It's just a great company, but I'll have some other pictures. Adams Packs, which is a company based out of England. Waymark gear, Red Paw packs. I mean, there's just so many options. What I found worked best for me is one that's sort of cut in sort of a triangle shape. I'm going to have some pictures up so you can get an idea. But a fanny pack is just a great place to keep your sunglasses, your wallet. You can keep your phone, an emergency blanket, snacks. It's just very easy access. Like I said, the triangle type shape, it works great. You can even use it with a pack that has a hip belt. I've used one like that for the last couple of years, and it's just great. One thing I will say when getting a fanny pack, make sure at very least the main zipper is a number 5 zipper. If you can get a number 8 zipper, that would be great. I know a lot of people are always trying to cut weight, but that zipper is going to get a lot of use, and those little small zippers will break very easily. One of the reasons I love ThruPack is they offer this awesome comfy strap. It's an extra $12 or $15, but it just is amazing. Highly recommend it. But ultimately, it's just going to come down to you and what you're looking for. They come in all different sizes, 1.5 liter, 2.5 liters. Just figure out what you need.